Hi, this is Marcy from Sketchbook Scheming. Welcome. I'd love to show you what I've been up to for the last 3 months in sketchbook number 19. This is a mandrill. I had a lot of fun with inks later on in the sketchbook, and that's when I tried that one and glued it in. And this was a snake from an art hang party, as were these. Melissa said that this snake was cute, and I have rarely ever heard snakes called cute, so it made an impression on me, and it kind of reminded me of Rudolph. She said, "I'm cute." And this one was also from an art hang party, a collage during art hang party. That was really fun to give it a try. Pretty hard to manage hand-torn paper for this face. It was Rosalind Russell. Sketchbook School, the title was Easy Buildings. They were not that easy, in my opinion. And this was some paper weaving with some scraps. And I had made this little soft block, and I thought it'd be fun to use in comics where I could easily put in different facial expressions. That's really all I did with it for now. I really liked making these Beatles collages. It was really fun to play with the bright colors for these colorful shapes in the shells. And I had made watercolor paper in these colors, and you'll see bits of these colors throughout the sketchbook from the scraps. And I did a few sessions with Sketchbook Revival. This one was really fun and challenging. I tried to get the shapes on the rice paper, and they just really bled all over, and I kind of did better on the sketchbook paper here. Some lineofaction.com quick sketches. A really fun free draw frenzy on still lifes. I really like these flowers, radishes, salt and pepper shakers. These were a lot of fun. And then everything had been wet, so I did these ones on separate paper and glued them in. This one I just put down the background first, right in the sketchbook. This was another Sketchbook Revival lesson, and the teacher had a really cool way of making a self-portrait that she print out the lines on and used it for little paintings and things in her journal. I went way too detailed on this one, I think, and I tried it again with less detail on this one. Another Sketchbook Revival, trying to use the toned paper as the mid-tone and then just adding the darks and the lights. That was a fun technique. And I followed along with this artist to paint these cute bear and duck characters. And this was also a Sketchbook Revival about intuitive watercolor landscapes. And the teacher emphasized adding a lot of water and just letting the paint do its thing. Bridgerton, art hang party. I did enjoy Bridgerton. I love costumes, which is weird. I'm not into dressing up at all myself, but I do love anything with like elaborate costumes. That was one more snake from that snake art hang party, and this was from Bridgerton. Okay, I do not like any of these drawings, but this was about the greatest thing that ever happened in my yard. Baby foxes were frolicking from under our shed. There were at least 7 of them. I went absolutely nuts. I loved them so much. They were there for about 4 days, and then they apparently moved on. Here I had swatched this Stabilo Woody pencil, and then I just tried the fox again over the top of the swatches. This was a really fun art hang party called Build a Cafe, where Melissa shows one reference at a time, and then you have to try to put them in the scene. I really like how I got some of the figures to really be at the tables nicely, but not this table and not this cat that's the size of a full-grown man's torso. Other than that, I really like this, and I really like her weight sitting at that table. These were just some doodles while I was watching The Daily Show. You know, the snail is saying, "Can you believe that corrupt?" And Wolf Blitzer is like, "Nope, I can't either." And then this was a fun sketchbook school upside down. So all the references were shown upside down and you try to sketch them, which in some cases actually sort of helps because you don't get kind of confused in what you expect it to look like. This sneaker that's hugely in the foreground, for example. These, I loved this design. I guess it's like a flash tattoo design, but it didn't really occur to me like this eye and this eye are part of the same face. I did not pull it off at all, which is why I doodled it some more over here, but I still didn't really get them close enough together. Some more sketchbook school. This one was about portraits. Flower ABCs. I ended up doing the whole thing. Very often with draw-alongs, I kind of do one spread and then move on, but this one, I had a lot of fun with these different flowers. Then I can follow along some more. And these ones I kind of crammed in there, so I gave up on the whole insect thing. This was a little project I did where I wanted to use up some of these printouts from previous artwork that I had done years ago. So I'm in my art studio painting my little paintings. This was a fun way to use up some of those scraps. A fun art hang party, master studies, and I really loved using Posca pens for these super bold shapes and colors. And then this one was kind of trying to be more subtle with some colored pencil and I think Tombow markers. This was a really fun project. I've been making animal-headed humanoid dolls for quite a while, and I've been trying to do at least one in my sketchbooks for a few sketchbooks now. So a barn owl joined the family. Lord of the Rings, an art hang party. I really loved these ones. This beautiful scene with the silhouette against the setting sun. And I used a little bit of gold leaf for the one true ring. Gollum has always been a favorite character of mine for as long as I can remember. This was inspired by the art of The Last of Us, and some of the designs, like Bill looks very different in the game than he does in the TV show. Some early concept art for The Infected. It was pretty fun. I visit that book now and again. Okay, this was a fun one. I only ended up doing this one, but there were these very great photos of miniature scenes provided by this artist for an art hang party. And I did collage to make this little truck, and let me scratch it. Scratch and sniff cinnamon. Where is smell-o-vision when I need it though? So that was really fun. And then I just put in this rejected attempt at a do-it-yourself crackle finish, as well as meerkats. I think these were meerkats. I don't like how they came out, but I kind of like the colorful spread altogether. An unsplash photo, and there's some of that collage paper making a return. This was from an evening, a very peaceful evening, sitting in my backyard with my husband, and the wind was kind of gusting. There was a subtle setting sun behind the trees. It was very peaceful and beautiful. I swatched some new Daniel Smith watercolors that I got, the famous Moon Glow and Undersea Green. I glued in some pressed rhododendrons that had fallen in my driveway. The roadies don't mind. And then in the French Open, Fonseca took out Djokovic. What a match. It was amazing. Okay, I had swatched some more of those Daniel Smith watercolors and used them for these. And then I put down some yellow in bubble wrap which didn't come out that great, but I really ended up liking how it made this bright, bright eye and this sort of glow around the dragon's face. And this was, you've probably seen the medieval doodle of this weird little dog with a human face. He does pretty much look human in this, I guess, kind of like a hermit or something. This was a sketchbook school draw along where I made these collaged papers and tried to get certain textures on them to represent their hide or shell or skin. I tried that with this pangolin collage. Wasn't satisfied and tried again over here, and I really do kind of like this one. I like him. He could slurp up those ants, no problem. Not much to see here really, but I dove in on a course about making a puppet for stop motion animation. I finally did this part, and then I had to order materials, which I had to wait for, so I sort of lost motivation again, but I hope to have more to come. Oh, and this is the design for the armature, so I'll put some aluminum wire and milliput and things to make a bendable skeleton, a posable skeleton. Stay tuned. I'm very intimidated, but I'll probably do it because I have bought some materials. Fun Iceland art hang party. So this was our first crushes, and I didn't have crushes on any of those people, so I threw in my own Jim Morrison. As a little kid, I didn't really have any crushes, but as a teenager, I got into The Doors and Jim Morrison, read the book No One Here Gets Out Alive. A nun took that book from me and wouldn't give it back when I was teaching at a Catholic school. True story. This was actually a gorilla that was also from that sketchbook school, and I did it, I used the reference to make this collage, and I really emphasized texture, getting these gnarly textures in black and gray and white. It was a lot of fun. Figure studies. I used to always use lineofaction.com, but I tried this place for the first time, and they're all new to me, so that was pretty motivating. She looks like a magical witch or something like that. She's like, just play Stevie Nicks. I'll be here in the corner dancing. I saw a video about this artist, and I fell down a rabbit hole. I loved him so much. I guess he was an inspiration for early Disney animation. I just found his design so wild, so fanciful, really fun line work, which I'm often intimidated to try a lot of cross-hatching and line work, but I found him very inspirational. These were the same. I tried to do a lot of line work in here. He's like, I just don't know how you can dance like that. He's like, I got the rhythm inside of me. All right, oil pastels. I hate them, but I gave them another try. Fun guy, not fun guy. Joel Miller from The Last of Us. He can be a fun guy, but it's not what he's known for, I would say. Some more doodles. I kind of like this one, except this baby has like a man's face. I gave this color play art hang party a try, but I could not get it going. I tried to do the dance from Pulp Fiction. I did single line first, and they really didn't come out. And then I tried this, and it really didn't come out. And then I tried this. Fun scene, fun scene. I found a hawk feather, but it was illegal to keep it, so I drew it. I was gonna glue the feather in. I get it, I guess people could poach the bird, you know, kill the bird illegally and then say they just found the feathers, so you can't keep the feathers. This was a photo I took in Ireland in 2006 of this beautiful mural on a pub. It's been changed since then, but that's what it looked like back then. This I made with an ink resist technique. It was super fun and thrilling. I made a video about it. I'll link everything related down below if you want to check it out. And I love drawing with waffles. This was an old video of hers that I revisited to sketch along with her, making these adorable tigers wearing hoodies. Does it get any better than tigers wearing hoodies? I'm not sure. Art hang party animal palettes, pretty fun. You had to draw the animal, if you so choose, using a random palette that was generated. And this one just looks like he's going, Stella! That's all I see when I look at that koala. Stanley Kowalski. Sorry. Okay, my husband and I went out to a state park and we've started a project to hike all the state parks, visit all the state parks and areas in Connecticut. So I made this little block print of Connecticut and this was our very first one. So fun way to get out of the house, get some exercise, and use our public parks. This was inspired by a beer label. G-Bot was the first IPA that I liked, and it was originally named after Gandhi. It was called Gandhi Bot, but the country of India found that disrespectful, and I guess it was. And they changed it to G-Bot, but it still has the Gandhi face design. It's good. It's juicy. I want to thank Melissa Martin. She made this art tracker. It's just very motivating to complete art and then enter it into the tracker. It's kind of like checking off a to-do list. And I tracked the materials I most use, the draw-alongs. I did the most art hang parties this time. And the nitty-gritty were the materials that I used. And I found it pretty fun if I used something silly or different, like gold or silver leaf. But I used cinnamon one time. And subjects, people, and animals were way up there, followed closely by imaginary creatures. This one tracks if I did art or not. Sometimes I do 2 sessions in one day. If I completely skipped a day, it didn't get any fire. And then I just glued this in from the famous Hartford Circus fire of 1944. My dad, Graham, and uncle survived this tragedy, and it was a book I read, and then it was also made into a play, but I missed the play. And some odds and ends. So I want to thank you so much for watching. Let me know what was your favorite. Was there anything in here that you might like to try? Take care. Subscribe.